Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. My name is Crown and today we are going to have some more stories that I hope that you will enjoy. But before we start, it would be so much appreciated if you would subscribe to the channel, like the video if you enjoyed it, and maybe leave a comment down below. These simple clicks would mean a lot to the future of this channel and really reward the effort that I put in every day. And now, without further ado, let's go! First story. Entitled parent defends son shooting my boyfriend, then threatens to press charges. Backstory. So this is about my own mom, henceforth our entitled parent. She raised me, but my brother still ended up with dad. Then she developed an unhealthy obsession with my bro. Like she would always make him call her mommy, and she'd write up creepy letters about how mommy is the only woman who could really love you, and or go into graphic detail about giving purse to him in birthday cards. This happened a year ago. My brother came to visit for spring break, and she did not have time to spend with him, so my boyfriend and I have to entertain him. We take him to the beach, get him lunch, and let him ride in my boyfriend's truck bed. My brother gets home and realizes he can't find his phone, so I call it. It's on, but we cannot hear it in the house. I suggest my brother checks the truck, and he insists it can be there. He decides it'll just turn up and goes and plays video games. Next morning, my brother slams my door open while I'm still sleeping. I sleep with little clothes, so I rush to make sure I'm all covered up. My brother proceeds to ransack my room, taking things of mine he likes, saying I can have my stuff back when I give his phone back. I call our entitled mother and she tells me to just find his phone for him. My boyfriend comes back over and we look in his truck bed. Sure enough, there is my brother's phone. My brother insists we must have stolen it and planted it back there after. Fast forward, the entitled mother of ours realizes having me entertain my brother isn't the best plan. So she buys him a new toy he wants to entertain himself with. A pellet gun. Now this wasn't just some airsoft gun with some soft pellets and an orange tip. Nope. They got this thing from a hunting store. It was scoped and loaded with pellets made of lead that were designed to burst upon contact to kill small prey. Meanwhile, my boyfriend and I are hanging out at my house, and my boyfriend gets a message asking to buy one of his hatchets. He was an aspiring blacksmith, which happens to be one he previously left at my house. He goes to get it from where he left it and it's just gone. My brother had an obsession with weapons, including hatchets, so we can safely assume he took it. My boyfriend goes up to the media room to confront my brother and ask for the hatchet back, and my brother claims he doesn't even know what a hatchet is. My boyfriend tries to argue but eventually decides it's easier to entertain the obvious lie and say fine. Then you won't mind if I just look around the room for it, right? My brother becomes instantly agitated and attempts to make a case that my boyfriend and I stole his phone. So how dare he be accused of stealing now? And that he didn't want us in his room because we might steal something else. Heated words were exchanged and it escalated to my brother pointing his new toy gun at my boyfriend. My boyfriend retreats back to me, and now it's my turn. I think I can go and try to rationalize with my brother. As soon as I get to his door, he's pointing his pellet gun at me. I'm maybe 7 feet away, but he's still looking through his scope. He begins on a tirade of accusations, profanities, rationalizations, and threats. Apparently, my presence is threatening to him, and he informs me that since I have been warned that I will be shot if I don't leave, it will be my fault if I get shot. I insult his masculinity on the basis that it's pretty sad if he feels threatened by his unarmed teen sister standing 7 feet away. And you can visibly see the conflict on his face of trying to decide how to be a man. At this point, my boyfriend comes to investigate the yelling and to remind me this was a mission for peace. But then I look around the room and my brother's been shooting the wall and there are stab marks in the couch. We later find he was trying to hide things in the couch cushions, including the hatchet. Now, I know our mother is too vain to tolerate having her expertly selected furniture destroyed. I'm also smart enough to know I'll be the one getting chewed out for not stopping him if I walk away now. So I put faith in that my brother probably won't be stupid enough to shoot his own sister, and I was right. Instead, my brother shot my boyfriend. My boyfriend grabs a heavy goblet he keeps his dice in and throws it at my brother, but smashes a window behind him instead. My boyfriend then grabs my brother's gun and throws it over the railing of the stairs. A piece of both the gun and the wall cracks off. He then throws my brother to the ground and threatens him, which admittedly was all bad, but he just got shot. Me and my boyfriend then quickly leave and take the gun. We go to our mother, who is at work a few minutes drive away, and explain what happened. My boyfriend even drops his pants in the middle of the entitled parents' car lot to show off his freshly made new orifice. She listens calmly and then asks for the gun back and sees it's a little bit banged up. She starts making aggressive remarks about how it's just a bullet ball gun, and you didn't have to break his toy. My boyfriend replies with a casual remark about how it's actually not a toy. It is a gun. It may not have been a good idea to buy him a gun. He even offers to take him to a shooting range after tensions have calmed down if he really wants to use a gun. The entitled mother is offended on a profound level. How dare boyfriend imply she's a bad mother, or that getting him a toy was a bad idea? She avers that my boyfriend is lucky she isn't calling the police for assaulting her son, destruction of property and trespassing. The entitled mother proclaims that legally my boyfriend is in the wrong because my brother gave him a verbal warning that my boyfriend and I are to blame for not better entertaining my brother. She throws a gun into the back of her trunk and slams it shut, letting us know her intention of taking it back to the store to have it replaced and then giving it back to my brother, and that if they won't replace it, my boyfriend has to get him a new one. My boyfriend starts to protest, but she's already in her car and rushing to console my brother. My boyfriend drops me off at home and leaves. My mother confronts me, giving me the choice to help her extort my boyfriend or have him arrested or I can sleep on the street. I try to insist that my brother was in the wrong and that she needed to teach my brother a life lesson that it is not okay to shoot people over petty squabbles. She becomes offended again. I even find the stolen hatchet poorly hidden in his room as evidence. When presented with said evidence, the entitled mother kicked me out for the night, and I spent most of my night wandering downtown in winter, where I might add I got propositioned twice. Eventually, the entitled mother calls me at 2 a.m. furious that I haven't come home yet. Like, what the hell? I think she was expecting I'd be so grateful she let me back in that I'd just drop the subject of my boyfriend being shot. But I didn't. The more I try to reason with her, the more she insists I admit she's right and that my brother was so provoked by my boyfriend's presence that he had no choice but to shoot him. Also that the BB gun just left a harmless hole in his leg, and that it must have bounced out after leaving a half-inch fleshy chasm in his leg. I have a hard time professing this nonsense though, so I just couldn't do it. She then puts her fingers in her ears and starts shouting, "La la 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 la, I can't hear you." She did that to anything I said. She periodically storms off to her room, only to re-emerge to yell how wrong and stupid I am, and when I try to say anything back in response, it's right back, "I don't care, I cannot hear you." I'm the kid in this situation, but I'm 140% done with this immature nonsense. I call up my boyfriend to help me temporarily retreat. He gets there, and as we were walking to his truck, the entitled mother starts yelling through the window. I tell my boyfriend to ignore her and that we're just going to go. and she just busts open the screen of her bedroom window, sending it sailing into the bushes below, and hangs herself halfway out of the window, yelling at us how we're scammers and we're trashy. We get to the truck and start to get in, and she starts yelling that if I leave with my boyfriend, that it's kidnapping and she's going to call the police. So I get in the truck and we drive a few blocks away, and then we call the police and meet them back there. Me and my boyfriend give our statements of what's happened. The entitled parent starts regaling the cops with her inspiring tale. Her poor, very young daughter was under the spell of a beastly teenage boy. He'd make me savagely attack the entitled mother on a daily basis, and my brother bravely tried to defend the entitled mother property, while my boyfriend was on a violent marijuana-induced rampage. But my brother was attacked himself. She even starts lying about my age, making fun of my looks/style of dress and hobbies, lying about my grades, demeanor, general relationship with friends and family, anything to attack my character and make us seem less credible. Luckily, she didn't have enough time to coach my brother, so his and her stories were wildly different. My brother told a story almost the same story me and my boyfriend did, just with a sprinkling of what he thought were justifications. The police just don't care about this nonsense. Cannot blame them one bit. They tell us unless my boyfriend wants to press charges, there is not much they can do. But they do suggest he go to a doctor and get x-rays, and from there decide what to do. The entitled mother is furious and yelling about how the police are corrupt. She'd later go on to accuse my boyfriend of being part of a big town-wide conspiracy against her. My boyfriend did get those x-rays a few days later, and sure enough, the pellet was still in there, all nestled up cozy to his knee, with a chance of it breaking it apart someday and the lead in the pellet poisoning him. Update: my boyfriend ended up pressing charges after he didn't want to get into all of that mess. And since my brother already admitted to shooting him prior to the police, it was clear he was going to be sent to a juvenile detention center unless my mother decided to settle and compensate my boyfriend for the damage he endured and then some more. And that's what she did. She ended up handing him a ton of money to not take away her baby from her. And that worked well for the both of us. So I was in the 9th grade or so in high school when this happened. On our school, we had a very special teacher I will call Mr. F. Mr. F had a reputation of being a complete jerk, but it was quite funny to provoke him because of his exaggerated reactions. When the class was loud, he would scratch the board with his fingernails, which made a loud and painful noise, or he would slap a book on his desk extremely loud. Sometimes he would just shout "shut up" as loud as he could. One day he would get a whistle out of his bag that made a sound that only children and teenagers could hear, and that was really painful. Fortunately, he wasn't regularly teaching in my class, but would sometimes replace another teacher that had gone sick or so. One time he oversaw us in informatics class when the usual teacher hadn't given us work for the lesson. She was absent. So the class and the teacher just killed the time, having a casual conversation while messing around with the school computers. Mr. F gave some of us, including me, stupid nicknames related to our first names. It wasn't really a big deal for me, but everyone was in a pretty good mood all in all, because we didn't have to work. So I wanted to return the teasing. I asked Mr. F what his first name was, but he just said he wouldn't tell me. Multiple attempts by other students failed as well. Being the 14-year-old I was, I wouldn't give up so easily. So I went into the school foyer after the class, where a board with photos of all the teachers with their full names hung on the wall. Having his first name, I now just waited for the next class I would have with Mr. F, which fortunately was just in a few days. He replaced our music teacher, but everyone just worked on their group work while he would approach other groups from time to time, picking other students. That all went by without any noteworthy incidents until the end of the music class. While everyone was leaving the classroom as quickly as possible to get home, it was Friday afternoon, he was chatting with a student at the door. I was one of the last to leave the room when I said something like, "Bye Frank," changed the name to Mr. F while passing him on the way out. At that moment, something must have snapped in him. Before I could reach the staircase, the student he was chatting with ran to me and said that Mr. F wanted me to come back immediately. That wasn't even necessary, because Mr. F already rushed out of the classroom and approached me. For about 5 minutes, he shouted at me how disrespectful I am to call him by his first name, and that if we weren't in school, he would have slapped me in the face, even touching my cheek to underline that. All because I called him by his first name after he called me by a stupid nickname that I didn't even permit it. After that, I went home and told my mom the whole story, who immediately made an appointment with the school principal. At the time, we had just got a new principal after the old one retired. That new principal apparently did not like Mr. F, and Mr. F did not like the new principal. After I told him what had happened, he was completely on my side, saying it wasn't disrespectful at all to call Mr. F by his first name, especially after he gave me an embarrassing nickname. He also said that that wasn't the first time an incident has occurred with Mr. F, and he would have a very serious talk with him. 2 weeks later, Mr. F was gone. Unfortunately, in Germany, teachers are considered state officers and cannot be fired very easily. So when a school doesn't want to employ a teacher, he'll get shifted to another school. A few years after that incident, I was at a party where students from like half a dozen different schools were present, and every single one of them knew Mr. F, because he had been at that school for a few months, then done something inappropriate and got shifted somewhere else. He probably is still somewhere out there terrorizing students with little to no consequences. And now we have reached the end of today's stories. Thank you for watching and see you next time.